Hi
Yes.
everyone. So excited today. We're having a gorgeous chat with Rhoni, and she is a light worker and she's a member of our Ascended Masters Light Worker community group. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to get involved in becoming a light worker, or you are a light worker, we do have a Facebook group and we are building a learning hub. There'll be lots of information coming and courses and things to help you. So if you do want to join us, I will put that link on here and down below. So I was so excited to chat to Rhoni because Rhoni's recently done some training around Isis, the goddess of healing, and we will go into that. But first off, Rhoni, just tell everyone a little bit about your background, and because I know you're skilled and trained in so many areas in terms of healing modalities and light working. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, hello, Rose, and thank you for having me here today.
Thanks, gorgeous.
Well, I am Rhoni, and I am a life activation practitioner out of the Modern Mystery School International. It's actually based out of Toronto, Ontario.
Oh, fab.
However, I did receive my life activation. I went to London at the time. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And then, as a result, I have also went to Healers Academy, and which has allowed me to become a life activation practitioner. And I, goodness gracious, I do crystal readings, crystal fusions, light infusions, Insophic Ray, Reiki.
So what does life activation include in terms of the healing modality?
Is a way for any individual to empower themselves. Basically,
beautiful.
what it does is, without getting too scientific for everybody, you're basically opening up your dormant DNA, so you are able to become more confident within yourself, able to learn from your experience so you can grow and mature as the person that you are for your particular purpose. It's an individual session, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
However, the opportunity to increase more light and vibration within you results from the life activation.
And that's so important, whether it's just as an individual or whether it's as a light worker even would be wonderful too in terms of rate, because we're always trying to raise our vibration. But I even know myself that a lot of my personal growth and my connection more to higher states of consciousness is constantly building up that higher vibration within self. So it's an amazing thing to do. Go on. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I was just going to add that it is so very important. And until you have the experience of raising your vibration, it's very hard to describe the greatness you feel within yourself.
Absolutely. And you can, I notice, and there was a funny thing they used to do and I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I find this fascinating, and we'll go as long as we go, is that they did this little thing on Instagram which showed you a photo 10 years ago and in the present, right? This was a couple of years ago they did it. And I thought, this is really interesting. And when we talk about light quotient, my light in my eyes 10 years before was absolutely dull. And when I took that photo in the present, they were totally luminous. You could just see that I was lit up from within, and that's just high vibration.
Totally agree. Because I moved across the country from Virginia to Arizona, basically to get away from the darkness where I was located, because it was terrible.
Yeah.
And I actually was looking for information regarding the Modern Mystery School while I was in Virginia. However, there wasn't anything in my state on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once I moved to Arizona, that was the first thing I did when I got here. And I've been on that journey ever since.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Forgive my dogs.
That's all right. I'm sure mine will hit it off shortly too. So tell me about, because I'm a Reiki practitioner as well, but what is Ensophic Reiki? So how is that different?
Okay, because
Just
there is.
Yeah.
It's the difference between the Ensophic Ray comes directly from our source, God.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see. I wrote some notes. Bear with me.
Yeah, that's cool. Take your time.
The Ensophic Ray, it's a modality that is designed to lead humanity to its next level of consciousness.
Oh yeah.
So we can live life alive.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Instead of not.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
That's the best way I can explain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's perfect, really. So,
but the healing in itself, it's a state of being.
Mm.
It's in addition to healing the roots of our inner pains and ailments.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It allows you, as a result, to live life more alive.
Yeah.
And not many people, unfortunately, are living life as that. And that's okay, because everybody's on their own journey. With all the different healings and modalities that are out now, it is important that we do research,
mm-hmm.
because not all of our healings are needed for certain individuals.
I mean, I love Reiki in all forms, and I think a lot of, if we talk about healing modalities, often it's to help people clear blockages out of self, or trauma, or wounding, or to clear energy, so that they are lighter and freer and can be more empowered. So give us a brief, because I'm super excited and interested in this ISIS training that you've done. So can you tell us a little bit about it and what was involved? Because I have a deep connection to ancient Egypt and the goddess Isis, and totally fascinated.
It's so funny, because I know you had mentioned that before, and I should have thought of you when I was in the training, because I was like, she would love this.
Yeah.
Because I also have a connection
mm-hmm.
to Egypt and the pyramids and the high priestess and everything there, and I love it.
Yeah.
What we did when we, as the healing began, ceremony is really what it was. It was basically like a alchemic transformation of the individual. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Who was doing it? Went into a very deep personal healing. I'm sorry, deep personal healing. Very unique experience for everyone, and I can say that because I am a very strong empath. Yes. Yeah, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes it can be a lot for one person. Yeah. And that particular evening, I was enjoying it. I was feeling the love and all this other stuff. I'll get into everything then. There was a certain part in the ceremony, towards the end, of course, and everybody was doing the practice, I'll say, for right now. Yeah. And every time someone in the ceremony came up, I was feeling the energy that they were receiving for themselves, right, from Osiris and Isis, and it just blew me away, because the different forms of love and attention for each person, it was so different. Wow! But yet it was the same, but different. Yeah. Oh, it was. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I will admit that. Yeah. And when it did, I was like, okay, this is great, but I kind of felt like sometimes, no, I don't want to be like instigating on their energy,
like intruding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, because it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
It just happens with me, so I have to kind of step back a little bit sometimes, which is okay. I can do that.
Yeah.
But the actual ceremony in itself, of course, it began with a healing energy. That's what we began with, going into the meditation, getting everybody settled and calm within themselves. And we invited in the two divine beings, being Isis and Osiris. And once they came in, of course, our guide is actually still Ambassador Eric, and he's actually, I don't want to say the wrong city, so I'm just going to say Brazil, I believe is where he's from.
Yeah.
And he is one of the international trainers and teachers and guides and healers in the Modern Mystery School. So he came in. This was the first time in Phoenix that we actually had Eric come in, Ambassador Eric come in and teach the fundamental Encyclic Ray to us. And then we also had this special Isis and Osiris ceremony, which I was excited about.
Yeah.
And then when we began the meditation, I'm just coming from my point of view when I go with this, okay?
Absolutely.
Of course, first we entered a safe space, and with the support of Isis, because she was our first divine being that we came into contact with. Now, as we began the actual ceremony with Isis already invited in, she was the divine being who allowed me, we'll stick with me, allowed me to go into my safe space and acknowledge, accept, take in all of the ugliness that we have dealt with thus far.
Yeah.
Meaning from little girl to 50-year-old woman.
Wow.
And it was amazing because I know my life. But in the ceremony, there were situations, events that were brought up to me, which seriously, I haven't thought about in decades.
Wow.
And it shocked me, but not in a bad way. Shocked me as, wow, I just didn't remember that ever happening. It just wasn't in the forefront consciousness of my mind. It was in the subconscious aspect.
Yeah.
And
sometimes we block things out, don't we? At a deep level, we can block things out at a deep level, and then it suddenly come up in these kinds of healing practices and modalities.
Yeah, and of course that was definitely one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to go. Yeah. Because we all need to have ugly energy. We'll just leave it at that. To dissipate out of us.
Yes.
To get rid of it. Yeah. To let it go. It's so important. And I can say that now and really mean it because of my own experiences of dealing with the ugly.
Yeah. So did you find that aspect of it challenging? Because it can be quite confronting when you go through something like that. Then it can also, you can either be emotionally invested in it or emotionally detached, like you're watching somebody else's story. So how was it for you?
It was strange because as I said, I never thought about those events that happened to me. And I was shocked in the sense that how come I haven't remembered that? Or how is that something that's really been affecting me that I just was unaware of?
Yes.
You know, those were
Yeah.
that's the kind of situation I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And watching the other participants who were in the ceremony, you could see the difference in what others were going through.
Yeah.
They were going through what they were going through, whatever that was. And so be it. And that's exactly what they needed to do. With me, like I said, I was excited because it was new information for me, even though it was old.
Yes, because it can give you
because it was brought forth.
And it can give you a few aha moments and not even know that, because we can carry around a sense of feeling within self that we've been through certain experiences, or we can have triggers or things that come up for us and not really understand fully. Like, we can understand part of it, right? But if it's really like from when you're young, or you've repressed it, because we can repress trauma or whatever's happened, yeah. And I kind of find that it's quite cathartic, because you go, oh, okay, well, now I understand this. This is what I've been through. But you can, and then process it, and just have that beautiful realization, which means we then get to let it go, or we make peace with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of the ceremony. Because once we finished, because I wrote some really good notes, and I want to make sure I get them all to you. Basically, let me see. I began viewing various moments in my life that made me think less of myself.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, whether that be kids calling me names, adults telling me that I couldn't do something when I knew I could, and I didn't because the adult said so.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's just some simple examples. Because I wrote all the ugly words and behaviors and actions taken upon me, including the memories I carried in my subconscious. And lastly, with the assistance of Isis, everyone singly accepted everything that they were doing and dealing with, and I guess dealing ain't the right word, but just acknowledging and accepting within them own self, and that it is okay.
Which is beautiful too, in the fact that, because often we can hide these things away, or nobody wants to talk about it. I think, you know, when you go through healing modalities and you are a light worker, you're much more open to having those discussions, which then opens other people up to it. And I think it's beautiful that we have this gorgeous acceptance.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've always considered myself a pretty open person as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But I'm a lot, I don't know if I can say I'm a lot more open. I'm just more open to speak about the truth of the experiences that I have been through. And usually if someone comes up to me and questions me, it's because they have some similarity in their situation, and they knew mine. And unless they just, sometimes people just
drawn to your light.
Throw me around.
Of course they do, because you got such a beautiful light.
That was something that I had to get used to also.
Because they're like, whoa, have a look at the light happening here. I've got to have a piece of that light. That's what happens.
Yeah. And I was told that Rhonda, Rhoni, you might have people following you. And I'm like, following me? What are you talking about? Well, you know, Rhonda, your light is shining now. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Until it started. I'm in the grocery store, people following me around, and I'm like, I know I've been watching you for 5 minutes following me. I literally would have to stop. I'm like, is there something I can help you with? And they'd be like coming wide-eyed to me, and I'm like, I love you. It's super like that. Let me see. Hold on. I don't want to get too far off. Okay, so Now, when with the assistance of Isis, once we
Mm-hmm.
gathered all our times when we weren't so happy and
Yeah.
we needed to get rid of them,
Mm-hmm.
I took those previous images and I took the experiences with the images that I had
Yeah.
and what I have now
Mm-hmm.
of the same situation. And I mean, some of them weren't the most loving situations, but I took them anyway because they were a part of me.
Yes.
And they were part of my journey, which brings
Yeah.
me to where I am now.
Yes.
And what we did was we took all of those and we took all of those feelings and we catapulted them into one.
Wow.
During a meditation,
Wow.
of course. There's more involved in
Yeah.
it than what I'm saying, but I'm trying to be brief.
Yeah.
And we then, during the letting go
Mm-hmm.
with Isis, we literally pushed them out of us.
Yeah.
And that's when, because Isis came in to keep us safe and secure so we could bring in the subconscious
Mm-hmm.
bad.
Yes.
I don't like to say the word bad because nothing's good or bad.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yes.
But all the negative
Mm-hmm.
energies, we'll put it that way,
Yes.
that we dealt with.
Yeah.
We catapulted them all together and placed them in our, I'm going from me, I placed them all in my front consciousness and accepted them as a part of me and that it's okay and that they are not me.
Yes.
They are what others perceive of me based on their own experiences, traumas, memories, whatever you want to call it. And once we did that, we then brought in Osiris.
So I was wondering how Osiris was going to come into this. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when we brought that. Well, of course, Ambassador Eric helped us bring him in, of course, but you hear where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And he came from more of the protective aspect of both of the divine beings. So he allowed us to take those negative energies that we have collected and accepted and acknowledged.
Yeah.
And we then went through another ceremony. And, first we started the meditation, of course. And after the meditation was over, we were ready to let go of it. And Osiris came in. We went up to the altar. It's kind of challenging to remember all this.
No, that's okay.
Well, not because I don't remember, and I have my notes.
Yeah.
But you're working with the supernatural, and you don't always catch everything on that day.
Yeah. And you're immersed in the process, which is how you need to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after when we got into the parts where we went up to the altar, I remember we all went up there and we stood in front of the altar was all dressed up nice and gorgeous and beautiful, and we thought about all of that and how it is a part of us and it's okay, and we've grown from that, but now it's time to let it go. And with the help of Osiris, we were able to do that. And of course there was a ceremony that you did, each person did.
Yeah.
And when I let go in the ceremony aspect of it, I was like, it was like this immediate uplift. Like
beautiful.
something had been taken off your shoulders that had been hanging there forever.
So a big heavy weight. Yeah.
Yes, it was like for me, it was a form of like exhilaration. I was so uplifted.
Wow.
I was at peace. I felt just like extreme love, and it was just secure. It was safe. It was like utter joy in me.
Yes.
I don't know how else to explain it. I'm trying to use the best words without having to say the same thing over again.
Well, it's exactly how you should feel, right? Because whenever we do that clearing process, and I love that there is that analogy of, you have Isis there who has the most beautiful, amazing healing qualities, but she's such a powerful, powerful goddess of healing, like as big as you can get, yeah? As big as you can get.
Yeah, and very intimidating power at that.
Yeah.
Both of them, actually.
Yeah. But then you have Osiris, who is, you then have the masculine. I love that we have the feminine and the masculine, but we're giving the burdens and we're releasing the shadow side, the trauma, everything. We're taking it off self. We're actually expelling it out of ourselves and handing it to a god, as you would say in Egypt, or, you know, he has amazing powers, and whether it's him or someone else in terms of the spiritual realm, that has that capacity to take those burdens and to burn them up into nothing, right? So they just disappear, but you have that beautiful clearing going on.
Oh, it's just amazing. I really do not have no other words, and it's definitely an experience.
Yeah. So was there a grounding exercise after that? Because you would have been so high in terms of release.
Well, that would have been after everybody let go.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. We all sat down, and we did have a form of a grounding exercise afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's great, especially for somebody like me, because sometimes mine can go so high up. I'm like up for hours.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, and it takes. I travel to go to some because of where I live, which is fine. I don't have no problem. But I mean, girl, when I tell you I was up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, I could not go to bed to save my life. And here I'm having to go training the next day also, which is fine. But it was like, I can't even go to sleep even though I want to. And I wasn't even tired.
Yeah. It sounds like such an amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I came home and I was like lovey to my puppies and everything.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great. I could not knock it one bit.
Yeah.
You know? The highlight for me, I have to. The highlight for me during the entire ceremony. Yes, I enjoyed learning about myself and letting go and all that great stuff. Trust me. But the highlight for me was, and I don't know if I'm looking at this. This was just a gift that they gave to me. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But when everybody went up there to let go, and like I said, it wasn't something I was wanting to do. It was just like every time somebody came up, I was like, for some reason I was zoned and on that person, and not really looking at them, but just zoned in on them. And it's like Spirit was just telling me about every person and the love that they were receiving, not what they dealt with, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But just the love that they were receiving, what they were being, the gift of love that they were receiving. Wow. And I was just amazed. I was like, I mean, it hit me like such a rock. Just the beauty of it all. Yeah. I actually went to my guide after, and I mentioned to her, you know, what I just mentioned. She's funny. Kelly Aho, she is my guide. She goes, well, why do you got to be so psychic? I don't know.
But clearly, do you think you unearthed another gift in that process in terms of how much you can actually read and feel people's energy? And I would suggest to you it's probably a gift that's come all the way back from ancient Egypt.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, come on.
I'm just glad I'm half deaf.
Really?
You know? Yeah, because I don't have to listen to a lot of stuff. Sometimes I just shake my head. Yeah. But unless I'm reading their lips, of course.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was like I even when I think about it now, it blows my mind because yeah, I haven't never really considered myself psychic in any means, even though I know from back in the day, that I just knew things and I would tell people, and but then back then it wasn't as open as it is now, and people got scared. Yeah,
of course.
You know, they get a little frightened. Because you're telling them things and then it happens and they kind of freak out a little bit, you know, and then it kind of freaks me out a little bit. And so, but it doesn't bother me now. Now I just love it because I know where it's coming from. It's not coming from a bad source.
No, it's coming from the spiritual realm, but it's also coming from your past life, divine gifts and talents, and it's intrinsically part of you. And I think that possibly the experience is that gorgeous realization that you have that gift.
Because it's not really something, I know this is going to sound so crazy. It's not really something I ever would acknowledge. To others. Me, I knew. But to others, I was kind of standoffish. I'm gonna be honest. I really was.
And I think there's also, I think that that's a beautiful aspect, because when you are enlightened, right, those that are truly enlightened and understand what they have within them in terms of helping others, it's not a matter of going around telling everyone exactly what you can and cannot do and how amazing you are, because that's not true enlightenment, right? And it's not true.
And it's not serving.
It's not. It's self-serving, and it's coming from an ego place versus an inner knowing. And if we have that beautiful inner knowing, there is no reason to be able to go around doing that. But I love the fact that we can have this gorgeous, honest communication and conversation and go, wow, this is the experience I had. And we can connect on that level because we understand it.
Exactly. And that's why I was so pleased to do this with you, Rose, because I'm like, me and her are going to have just a great conversation, and we're both going to understand one another, and so will the viewers as far as that's concerned. Exactly.
And what that does is it allows others to embrace that side of self, because we can be self-conscious about it, and it can take quite a lot to actually embrace your gifts, your talents, your spiritual side, and that side of self, because of one, it's often not accepted from a long way back, or people think that you're strange or weird, and everybody has their own opinion on that. But then when you get to a place of not really caring and don't give a toss, well, that's we're on a different path. You can go on your path, I'm going on mine. But I think that, just having these conversations is that it opens other people up to explore and feel safe in that space and go, I'm actually okay. I'm not weird, and I'm just a little starseed. And you know what I mean? Like, I am a starseed.
It rises their vibration then. And that's what it's about. It's about everyone taking their own opportunity to raise their own vibration, because it is their responsibility. It's no one else's.
Exactly. And it's your choice. It's your choice too. And I think you have to find your own sense of courage and empowerment and strength in that space and go, well, this is just me. you know? So,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. And I think that also ties into, you do have to have a lot of self-love and rebuild up your sense of self-love, because that's often the aspect that gets shut down in accepting your spiritual side or knowing that there's something outer worldly than self.
The ceremony of the awakening the divinity within the Egyptian ceremony, that's what it was with Isis and Osiris. You know, the ceremony in itself was about, what's the best way to describe it? Unlocking your personal growth by acknowledging past negative energies that have affected you, and you have conjured thoughts and images about yourself regarding those negative energies placed upon you.
Yeah.
And by letting them go with the protection of Osiris, we're able to awaken our divine being.
Beautiful.
Which is who we are.
Yeah.
We are all divine beings. Unfortunately, not all of us know that, though. But we all are.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, was the basis of the ceremony in itself.
Yeah.
Was that.
Yeah.
Because that's what's important. Because when you can awaken the divine being within you, you do become empowered. You do gain more confidence.
Yeah.
You do become excited about your life.
So did you feel like you had a lot more energy after that? Like following that, like in the week following?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes we can come away from those experiences, right? Because we're delving in such a deep level, right? We can actually feel a little shattered and emotional, like the 2 or 3 days following, and having really big cries and all this stuff coming out, right? Well, that can happen. Then we feel amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I was doing, during those trainings, when I went to the ceremony, I actually was doing, like I said, the Ensafic Reiki training as well. So I had a lot of great energy going on within me those 4 days.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, and it was like I was really high, I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then personally, me, okay, I'm just gonna say me, just Rhoni, then I went on this like weird binge. This weird binge of, what's the right word? Of going between the negative energy of what I accepted, and recognizing that I did let it go, and it's not.
Yes.
That, I'm gonna be honest, I probably went through about 2 weeks of that, close to 3.
Yeah.
Afterward.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there every day, and I'm thinking, what's going on? What?
Yeah,
and I had to set myself down, doing my rituals, doing, I'm not the best at meditation, I'm going to be honest with you. I do try, but I do love doing sanctuary meditation. I love me some sanctuary meditation, but to just, let's go meditate. Sometimes all I can do is 2 minutes. Yeah. And then there are some times where I can do like a whole hour. It just depends. But during these 2 weeks, it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And I needed to do the meditation because I knew it was going to help me with what I was doing,
Yeah.
dealing with, taking my own energy and understanding it,
Mm-hmm.
this new energy
Yeah.
of letting that part now go and moving forward to a better life.
Yes.
It can be a struggle, but it's a great struggle.
Yes.
Because that struggle is also another experience. It's not good, it's not bad, it's an experience. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn from the experience. Whatever the experience is, however it made you feel, it's just the experience to learn from. And I got to tell myself that every once in a while. A little mental note going on in the head every so often.
Yeah. And you got to have that conscious awareness, which I think is beautiful. And I think, if those are people that are listening, and is that when we do these kind of deep healing practices, that you have to kind of understand that there is going to be possibly a bit of fallout following that, where you're still purging those experiences and you're still purging those emotions and making sense of them. Because when you're in that gorgeous healing practice of being surrounded by people that are going through those, and you've got very supportive practitioners, and we're talking high-end healers that you're in a room with, is that you come out of that supportive environment and you then got to deal with yourself.
Yes.
And and still go through that, and that clearing process can take a few days or a few weeks or whatever it takes you then, and then you got to be knowing that you're going to bounce straight back up. So it's just
amazing.
Yeah, and it's on so many levels that you're purging it.
Yeah, and purging that within you that is doing you no justice, that is not serving you, that is not benefiting you in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, it is not benefiting anybody around you either.
Yeah.
It's important to get rid of that, because when you do get rid of the negative energies that are within you, you do become lighter.
Absolutely.
You literally feel lighter
and stronger. You're so much stronger within self in this resilience, and I often call it the warrior spirit. We're building our warrior spirit up, and it's not that we're creating this warrior. We have always had it, right? And we've had it in many past lives. We're just bringing it more forth into this life and standing in our strength with it, which all of these healing practices and work we do on ourselves is so important and so amazing, really. So.
Yes, it is very amazing, because when I took the training for the Certified Reiki and became a fundamental Certified Reiki practitioner, oh yeah, I took advantage of that on myself. I actually, during the time of the actual training for the level 1 of the Certified Reiki, I had me a little issue going on, and of course, we're learning and we're practicing on everybody, and I'm telling everybody the one spot, and I'm not lying to you. I went home when it was over and I finished with all my training. I came home, and the first thing I did, I'm just gonna say, I went to the bathroom, checked, and I was like, really? Okay. And in 2 days, for the next 2 days after that, of course, I did some sessions on myself.
Yeah.
And yay. Rhoni healed herself.
Well, I love that, because if people don't understand what Reiki is in the first level, and even going into the second level, but mostly the first level. And I know it's probably a different type of Reiki that you and I have both studied, is that you have to practice on yourself. And I found that the most beneficial thing ever. And it's an amazing practice. And I was at sound therapy last night with my gorgeous Kylie, if Kylie's listening. And sometimes, because of my energy, my heart chakra can feel very vulnerable. when we first start off a sound therapy session, right? And it just feels intense. So I have to use my Reiki, and I often have that right hand over the heart chakra and the other one on the sacral chakra. But sometimes I'm just way too sensitive for the energies to allow that heart chakra opening straight up, and I have to actually soothe it myself with my Reiki, and it works. Yeah, so, and it's an amazing, beautiful practice.
When I went for my novice training for a ritual master, and we got our initiation for our novice training. When it was over, like I said, I'll be the first one to feel everybody's energy. So when it was all over, and there was a lot of people from all over the world, mind you, there, and everybody's congratulating and giving hugs and kisses and all that good stuff, and I'm like this.
No, don't want to feel people's energy, yeah?
It was an experience.
Wow.
And if I would have known how to do some Reiki, then I would have used it big time. Big time. I mean, it was so, the energy of it was like I'm half deaf. I've been half deaf since I've been 17 because of a car accident. When I was in my 30s, I think, is when I got my first hearing aids. They don't work for Ron anymore.
Yeah.
But when I first got my hearing aids and I heard again like I did before I lost it, that it hit me like that too. And, crying, and I'm like, what in the world? It's just so much overwhelmingness. Yeah. And when that happened up in Toronto, it was beyond overwhelming. To the point I actually had to leave. Yeah. The room. Yeah. I mean, just thinking about it right now just puts me in the same.
Yeah. And you can find yourself in those situations, particularly when you're high vibing. And we will come back to our questions, but I was in a meditation group and I hadn't been in it before. I had been in it once, right? And it's a different meditation group, but there was also sound bowls going off and we were in this room. But my energy in that room, because of what the practice was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And I thought, if there's a roof open, I need to escape, because that's how big my energy is getting in this room. And I literally feel like I need to run. Like, that's how big my energy was getting in that room. And I pretty much bolted as soon as it finished. I was just like, I've just got to get out.
That's exactly what I did. I got to, where is the exit? Where is the exit? I was the same way. I didn't even tell anybody. I just left.
Yeah.
It's so funny. She said, I'm not the only one who's told me.
Oh, no. So there are, we do have to learn how to manage our energy and protect our energy in the ways that work for us. Now, Rhoni, I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for people that are light workers wanting to become light workers in terms of your journey and all the things that you kind of studied? Because sometimes we don't know where to start. So how did you, on your path, decide which path you wanted to follow in terms of healing modalities?
Okay. So when I was in Virginia, I left Virginia in 2020, and I was born and raised in Virginia. So somewhere around October 5th of 2016, around 105, it's one of them times where I will never forget where I was standing, yada yada.
Wow.
And that day, I made up my mind. I'm done. I need something. I don't care what it is. And somehow or another, because I was watching YouTube and everything, I got hooked up with Gaia.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, I love me some Gaia. And I started watching Dr. Teresa Bullard. She's now Dr. Teresa Bullard White. But I was watching a lot. I just felt really connected to her. So I started watching some of her programs and on Gaia, and I was like, where has she been all my life? You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, she made so much sense to Rhoni.
Yeah.
And so I was watching her, you know, that's all I watched. Other things on Gaia, of course, you know, sacred geometry, you know, all the different things. And so I took notice of something. I don't even know how I came across her with this information. She may have mentioned it during one of the programs or series I was watching. She mentioned the Modern Mystery School, and I was like, what is the Modern Mystery School?
Yeah. So
that's when I looked online while I was still on the East Coast. And, well, there was nobody in Virginia. Let's just say that didn't shock Rhoni one bit.
Yeah.
And I'm looking in all the different places, you know, and I'm like, man, I don't really want to travel, you know, to go to these places to go get me a guide. And so I just kept following Dr. Teresa Bullard. I just kept following her. And then you have to understand, during that time I was going through my own shadow work, 5 years of it. I'm just going to let it go at that.
And that's often where we start, is dealing with our own shadow work, because we're growing, and when we're growing, then we're inquisitive and curious about, well, you know, it just kind
that started about right near the beginning of 2013, because I went through a bad situation in 12. No, I just lied to you. It was 2015 is when I began.
Oh my God, we started our journeys exactly the same year.
Yeah, because like in 2014, you know, I was dating someone, and he left on a motorcycle and died.
Oh,
and it was abrupt. It was abrupt. I didn't know where he was, and then I found out like 6 hours later. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And so after that, that's when my time began. And it won't pretty. We'll just leave it at that. And so then my nephew moved in, and he was going through his own time, whether he realized it or not. He was. And you know, when he moved in, it was time to go. I was like, I don't care where you want to go to school. It doesn't matter. You'll get accepted anywhere. Just pick one in the warm weather, you know. And so he got accepted to Arizona State. I was already going to school online to University of Arizona. So that's why we moved here. And once we moved here and I got myself settled, I was then in Tucson. I went right back to the Modern Mystery School online.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know I'm going to find me somebody here in Arizona. There's no doubt in my mind. So I went straight there, looked for me a certified guide, you know, who could give me a life activation, because I'm sitting here listening to Dr. Teresa Bullard White talk about these life activations. And I'm like, I need a life activation. That's what I need. I know it. That would be like the bomb for Rhonda, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I got settled in Tucson, and went right on the site, found my guide, Kelly Aho, who had just actually moved to Phoenix a few months or so before I actually got here.
Yeah. So she was just paving the way, really, until you arrived.
Exactly. And so I got hooked up with her, and I spoke with her on a Zoom.
Yeah.
And I set up, I think maybe a month or two later after I spoke to her, I set up the life activation, and I was amazed. I was like, this is exactly what Teresa Bullard was talking about, but I didn't understand it then.
Yeah.
All I knew, Yeah, I remember that dormant DNA that everybody used to talk about, that it was no good, but I know the part of my DNA is freaking great, you know.
Yeah.
But that was back in the 70s, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So once I got hooked up with her and I got the life activation, I was so excited. And then I was like, what else is available that I can learn? And
did you find anything that didn't resonate with you versus things that resonated more with you?
Yes. Yes. More of what didn't resonate with Rhoni
that's interesting.
than did.
Yeah. Because it's always that thing of experimentation, isn't it? Because you think you're probably going to like really enjoy something, or you're going to be good at it, and then you find out, well, really, you're actually really sucky at it, and it's not your thing at all. And you go a different way.
Yeah. Because it's like I was thinking what I was thinking. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm gonna be able to, perk up myself. I didn't know what it was. I'm going to be honest with you. I just knew I needed it, and that was all I needed to know. And then when it happened, my guide, she didn't call me till like 7 days later, right? She's like, so how you doing? I'm like, girl, I don't know what happened, but I do know that there's a big change going on in Rhoni right now, and I can't even explain it. And I really could not explain it. Only thing I could say, or can say even now, I was not very willing to deal with myself.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Because it can be a painful experience, though, right? So yes. It's a very challenging thing to do. Yeah,
that's where I think that's really where I'm coming from, because it was like, and the thing was, everything was coming to the forefront, and I couldn't stop it.
Yeah,
it was just like coming and coming, and I'm just like,
she'd open up the floodgates. Yes.
And then I went through Empower Thyself. That was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow. And that's when a lot more people started following me, was after I went through that initiation.
Because do you think people, that because they see you changing and people want to go, no, and then they can just see it in terms of your vibration, how physically you're just emanating more light, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, and you get those questions.
Oh, I look nothing like I did 3 years ago.
Well, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you, and so do you. But seriously, it's like day and night.
Yeah.
Everything is day and night.
Yeah.
I did finally go back to Virginia for my niece's wedding shower. And some of my family members I ain't seen in like close to 10 years, even though they live not that far from me. Because of the ugly 5-year shadow time I was going through, nobody wanted to acknowledge Rhonda. She didn't exist. So, but yeah, when they saw me, it was like they got their own little energy going on too. I'm just gonna say that. And that was a challenge to deal with.
Yeah,
but
they usually are.
A lot of them, they give you the bug eyes. The bug eyes, or the fly mouth. That one. I'm like, close your mouth. Flies are in, it's okay, and it was kind of strange talking to them, not because they were strange. I mean, they're my family. I've known them my whole life pretty much. But it was strange because I really felt like I was on a totally different plane than every one of them. Yeah, and I know I am.
Yeah. And I think that is, and, I think part of that whole journey, which is our ascension journey, and I know that we're talking about how your path was and things like that, is that as you're, and dare I say, you know, we're cleaning our own stuff up and we're becoming more whole and balanced and we're vibing really high. So we have, and not all the time, because we all have our dips and our lows and everything else. But we have this, as our sorry if I can say that, as our vibration rises, one, we have less tolerance for lower vibrational energies. But we also have a disconnect because we're in a totally different space. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just recognition that you're you're just totally vibing at a different level, right? And you have a different state of consciousness. And you can see things in a totally different way than you did before.
And it is okay. There's nothing wrong with that because, like you said, they're on their own journey too. And they will get to, I mean, it's their life. They chose the life that they're in. And even if they recognize it or don't recognize that fact, it still is.
Yeah.
And you just got to love people where they are.
Exactly. And I think it's that beautiful aspect that you come to that realization. And when you come to that realization that everybody is on a different path, you don't have to be on the same path. People don't have to like what you're doing. You don't have to understand what someone else is doing. They don't have to understand your path for you all to be on your own paths, right? And I think that's a lot of particularly when it comes to family, is there's so many control dynamics that happen. They don't really understand that you're on a different path and you're a different person, you're a separate identity, yeah? And I think part of the journey of particularly ascension is that you can get worried because relationships that you were once in your life start falling away. Right, and you can feel like you're a lone wolf in a garden or you've shredded all the weeds and the plants and there's not a lot left, right? So you will go through that because you just don't have the same connection anymore because you've changed a lot and you've grown a lot and people haven't grown with you, which means that you're then finding different circles too and different friends, and they will come along, right? But it can feel like you've denuded the garden quite severely during that process. Yeah.
Yes. And because I agree because I honestly now do not have anything in common with anybody that I used to associate with, especially in Virginia. And I don't mean that in any disrespect towards anybody because I love them all.
Yeah.
But it's like I would be sitting there as an outsider, looking in.
Yeah.
But I've changed, just like you mentioned, and they have, or they are still in their same old, whatever the case is. Yeah. And that's okay because that's where they need to be because they are where they are because that's where they need to be. Just like I am where I am because that's where I need to be.
Yeah. And you will definitely have people that come along with you on the journey that will always be with you. Do you know what I mean? So the ones that resonate with you and that you just love to bits and you get each other no matter what, they will always come with you.
There are some people, and it's not a lot, okay, I'm not going to lie, but there are some people from Virginia that even to this day, right now, I am still in contact with. I mean, we'll associate twice a week maybe, you know, or it doesn't have to be any, it could just be like a like on a Facebook or something, you know, anything simple. Yeah. But there are a few who are still very connected towards me and me towards them, and that's great because, you know, I'm like trying to help them by passing, you know, data to them, giving them information to, you know, help open their, you know, minds. I mean, because they're interested in it, and they acknowledge that they, you know, want to receive the information. Well, of course I'm going to give it to you. Why would I not?
Yeah.
It doesn't cost me a dime to go send, but it's cool like that.
Yeah.
So, I love that.
So Rhoni, we've had so much fun today, and I just so love chatting with you, and I love that we can be so raw and open with each other. Now, anybody that wants to get in touch with you around the beautiful healing modalities that you do, how can they get in touch?
Well, they could contact me. Let me tell you. I'll say it slow so people can hear it. Of course, the HTTPS, //
Yeah.
Then dot dot. I know that sounds crazy, but it's DOT.
Yeah.
Then an actual dot.
Yeah.
CARDS cards / rise and transform.
Okay.
All together.
What we'll do for everyone is I will run that across the screen for everyone, and I'll also put it down below so that if they want to get in touch, they can find you through there.
All of my information with regards to my number, and I actually have the Modern Mystery School International website on that business card.
Oh, excellent.
It's an online business card.
Yeah.
But you can connect to that as well, or you can just go directly from whichever link that you would like to use to get in contact with.
Yeah.
But regardless, there is I'm gonna add another website, and that's for all of the Phoenix and Suffolk Reiki practitioners. It's not up yet. She's actually still setting that up too. Okay. And that
you'll be on there.
Website. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put it underneath my dot card, so that will be on it. Yeah. So if it's not on there, it's because it hasn't been placed online yet, but that should be coming up within the week. Okay. So, but that will be on the dot card website as well.
Well, it's been wonderful chatting today, Rhoni. I just so much enjoyed it. And we will give a shout out to our Ascended Masters Global Lightworker community group. So if you do want to join, that link will be below. I'll also pop it on here. Come and join us. We do post up quite a bit of inspirational content, little helpful videos here and there to help you on your path. But it's just been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, darling. Have a most wonderful day.
Well, that's such a wonderful time. I look forward to the next talk.
All right. Bye, honey.
Bye-bye.